Welcome to Pride in Parsippany. I'm your host, Mayor James Barberio, and today my guests are Lieutenant Dowd of the Parsippany-Troy Hills Police Department, Detective Awilda Curving, and Detective Robert Lanahan. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right. As you know, I know you know Brian, and since I've become the mayor, I always wanted to enhance the SRO program with the schools, and there was a lot of different superintendents that we really couldn't come on board. But then we finally had an opportunity, and as you know, we have a shared service agreement with the school board. And ladies and gentlemen, let me explain to you what I mean. You've had SROs in the schools for years, but I wanted to enhance that, to have SROs in further into the middle schools and possibly into elementary schools. But something came about last year where we had a thought that we would run the security of the schools as well and have a security director. And we've met with the Board of Education. As you know, we have an agreement, and I got to tell you, I'm very proud of that agreement with the school board. It's a shared service agreement, which is really what the state want local governments to do, to share services with municipalities and with the school boards and find ways to save dollars as well. And we have done that. But that being said, the most important part of the program just isn't the fact that we're saving money. It's the security, it's the safety of our children. With that being said, I'm going to start with you, Lieutenant Dowd, because he's Director of Security of all the schools in Parsippany. How's it working out so far?
So far, it's great. We had an opportunity to jump off early, being that the agreement was approved in April. So we took the opportunity and started the program so that we can get ourselves acclimated to the school environment and kind of get ourselves adjusted and prepared for the new school year. So that was a great opportunity because going in September, we'd have to kind of figure out what we were doing at the beginning of the school year, and I thought it was a great opportunity to start early. So what we did was we got the two SROs, the additional SROs, under the shared services agreement into the two middle schools. So now we're complete with an SRO in each of the high schools, Parsippany High and Parsippany Hills, and each of the middle schools, Central and Brooklawn. This gives the two new SROs an opportunity to familiarize themselves with the school, the staff, and the students. And so far, it's worked out great. It's an exciting opportunity, and like we discussed, or like was mentioned at the SRO kickoff program a couple weeks ago at the Board of Education building. The shared services agreement, it's a great thing to occur. I mean, as the mayor, you've heard this term mentioned for years. And although there have been some shared services agreements that have been pulled off within the state of New Jersey and different municipalities, it's not a very common occurrence. So when you can get a shared services agreement worked out, that's a home run. And in this case, what's really special about this is because, let's face it, no other municipality and Board of Education have come to a shared services agreement like this. Most of your directors of security, if there are any for a school district, are going to be private. So this is the first one where it's being run by the police department, a cooperative agreement between the township, the police department, and the Board of Ed. So it's very special, and I know it's very difficult to get done, but yourself working with the Board of Education and with town council pulled it off, and we're really excited about it.
It was intense, I could tell you. I didn't think it was going to happen at one point because, like you said, they wanted private. I didn't believe private. Not that private can't do a job of securing schools, but I felt that no one could secure the schools better than our own police department.
Sure. Well, it's difficult too because with a private entity involved with the schools, ultimately it's inevitable that the police department has to become involved with some issues. It just complicates things and muddies things up. It's much easier and much more streamlined when you have the police department actually running the program, and that's what's great about the program. So again, we're very excited, and so far so good.
So Rob, I'm going to go to you, Detective. Sure. You've been an SRO for how long now?
Since 2011, I went to the high school.
2011. So,
yep.
And
I just started.
Oh, you just started,
yep.
So that's good. So your roles, I mean, I know you're you direct them, I guess, and you know, but
They need very little direction there.
yeah, I know.
They're very, very
that's-
good.
No, then that's
Yes.
now, Wilder, you're in the what?
I'm in
Elementary?
Central. I'm in the
Oh,
middle
Central.
school.
So you base out of Central.
Yes.
Okay, and you're in Parsippany High School.
At the high school, yes.
All right, tell me your roles. I mean, tell me what you do on a daily basis when you're in the schools. We'll start with you, Wilder.
You know, the main thing is have the kids see you, especially in the morning when they're coming into the school, just kind of greeting you throughout the course of the day. Just walk the hallways and just make yourself seen. It's a little different for me than it would be
Right.
for Lenny because I deal with, you know, middle school. So.
Right.
At the high school, it's, you know, aside from the security aspect, it's also not just being a police officer there. I help conduct some of the classes with the driver's ed classes, and different times they ask me to come in for some law classes. But just being an overall mentor and hopefully act as a role model to the kids of the town and stuff like that. So
Now, you have special training to become SRO officers?
yes, we go to a 40-hour training course for SRO training that we all have to be certified in.
Okay, so when they go to the classes, what makes you choose the certain individuals?
Well, it's a great question because beyond the actual training, there is state-required training, school resource officer training that the SROs are required again to attend. But more importantly, when we go through the process of selecting the SRO, there's a lot of thought that you have to put into it. You just don't select. While all of our officers and detectives, they're all fine. They're great. But few have that ability to work in that environment. Because again, remember, you're being taken out of something you know so well and are very comfortable with, being in the police environment and going into an educational environment. So you need to be able to work with a new group of individuals that don't really understand the police world, and we're going in there not really understanding the educational world. So it takes a special personality. And we put a lot of thought into that and really think about who can survive, not necessarily survive in that environment, but really survive in not being in the police environment and being someplace else. It's got to be something you're ready to do. And then, you know, you need to consider how are they going to be with children and adolescents. So a lot goes into it. You need to have the right temperament, good personality. You need to get along with the kids. The kids need to go to somebody they're going to feel naturally compelled to seek out. You know, you want to be a mentor to these kids, and so it takes a special personality, and I think we found it in all four of our SROs, because I've had opportunity to stop in all the schools, and again, Detective Lenahan's been doing it a very long time, so I've visited him most of all the SROs so far, and there'll be an opportunity for the others, but as far as watching Detective Lenahan interact with these students, it's something that it's phenomenal. I sit there, I try to get a word in, and every 2 seconds it's a student knocking on the door. Hey, Officer Bob, or Detective Lenahan, or giving them some sort of information, filling him in on the day's events, telling him how last night's wrestling match went. Just give them all sorts of information and really spending time talking to the kids. It's really wonderful to watch. And
I mean, what really made me become aggressive in doing this was the school board was going to discontinue doing the SROs and weed the town out and hire security guards. So a parent called me up, outraged, and I said, well, I didn't know about this. And I spoke very highly of Detective Lenahan because her son had some issues that really put him on the right track.
sure.
And so that's what made me say, wait a minute, what are they doing here? We have something that's really good. But let me ask you guys this question. What are some of the concerns you have in the schools? I mean, I know you just started in Central, but you've been at the high school since 2011. What are the concerns for you for both these?
Well, always the regular things that teenagers go through with alcohol or drug usage and stuff like that's a big thing. One of the big trends now is also the e-cigarettes, electronic cigarettes that kids are smoking, and so that's a concern that the school has and that we have to make sure. And it seems to be a growing, fastly growing thing, a trend with e-cigarettes. So I think that's something that's big that we got to keep an eye on the usage of that. So,
Well, both being police officers, what do you feel of the program? What do you feel about it?
well,
I mean,
I think it's awesome. I mean, I love being there. I love being around the kids. It's fantastic. I got 4 kids myself, so
Right.
and 3 of them are teenagers, so I'm used to dealing with teens, and I enjoy it every day.
How about you, Brian? I mean, Lieutenant.
That's fine. Personally, it's a joy to be involved with the program. Unfortunately, I don't have as much of the interaction that the SROs have, and that's really the fun aspect of the job. But actually watching them get the job done and being involved with going back and forth between the township and the Board of Education and trying to work out new programs, it's very exciting for me, personally and professionally. This is a great opportunity for me, and again, I just couldn't be happier doing it. I'm very glad and happy I was selected. And to talk about the interaction between the township and the Board of Education and the district, so far it's been very, very smooth and seamless. It's very easy to work with both entities. We're getting a lot of stuff done, and we hope to have a lot of programs kicked off and underway next school year. To name a few,
Right.
would be this anti-bullying initiative. I know that you're working very hard to bring some education into the school system, in addition to what the schools are already providing, to educate kids and children on anti-bullying. Also anti-drug and alcohol initiatives. So there's a lot to be done in that regard, and I know we're working on some stuff now, so we'll most likely have a lot of these programs in place by October, which is Anti-Bullying Week.
Right.
So we're very excited about that. Also, what we're working on is enhanced campus security, because let's not forget that it's a holistic approach, this SRO program. It is campus security and safety and security of not only the students, but also for the staff. But the holistic aspect, comes where you address the things that we already spoke about. It's mentoring the children, being there to talk with them, helping kids with student conflict. So it's really a big package that we're working on. And there's a lot of stuff that's going to come together next year that's really going to show the success of this program. And I don't think that it's going to be a disappointment at all. I think it's going to be a big success.
And in fact, I'll enhance that. One of the things that not enticed, but where the school board finally understood where we were coming from, was the fact I said to them, we have Municipal Alliance Committee, we've had the DARE programs, and they just stopped. I mean, it's not like, I'm not saying they don't work. I mean, the Municipal Alliance Committee does work, they do a great job, but I felt that if we can get the Municipal Alliance Committee to work with this whole program, they can get the funding through the county to do a lot of these programs. And I felt, and I know the chief did, I know the deputy chief did in the discussions, and the school board, that we had to be in the schools to be effective. And what I meant by that, we had to have more SROs. They'll be part of those programs that we're going to when we enhance it, when we get them going. But we had to be in the middle schools as well. And the problem was that and in the elementary, middle school would be gone, and next thing you know, you're in high school.
Right.
So right in there, you're vulnerable. Well, now those programs that we're talking about, the anti-bullying, which will be elementary, but anti-drug and anti-human trafficking as well, will be in the middle schools. Those where the assemblies will be. And then we'll have them, hopefully, with sponsors, we can have them in high schools as well. And that's where the educational part comes in. But we're going to have real life people that experience these situations, and that's important. I mean, I can't express enough how excited I am about it. But the other thing is that we have other leaders in other communities. One from Hanover Township, his name's Ace Gallagher, who has a really great relationship. He's a committeeman over there with his police department. But when I told him about our program, he was just like, he says, "How did you do it?" I said, "Well, you just got to keep fighting. And, you want something bad enough that you think it's that important." But the greatest thing for me was I have you guys. That's how it was even easier, because when we got to the table finally, they said, "You know what? This is going to be good for us all." And I think, Wilder, you being in the middle schools, I think that's so important, because we probably lost a lot of children in the past for not being in the middle schools.
Sure.
And now that you're going to be there, and that's a great, and ladies and gentlemen, that's a great asset, not just to the police department, to our community, and or to the kids in our communities from all ethnic backgrounds, because we need to have individuals that they can go and talk to. I could tell you the story that our BA told us, Ellen Sandman, when I think it was the Morris Knowles School District, they were thinking of having a SRO officer when they first started it. And of course you go through, nobody wants to do it. But the first thing, when this guy walked in, this sergeant, a kid ran up to him and said, "I'm so glad you're here because I get bullied every day."
Wow.
So, that means a lot. So, and our kids are our futures. I mean, when I was in high school, I was an angel, so you didn't have to worry about me. But I'm Parsippany Hills, by the way. My kid. But it's going forward now, because we're going to grow. There's no doubt about it, and we're going to be the leaders in the community of Morris County, hopefully the state. What is your vision going forward?
My vision going forward would certainly be to really address what we have going on now,
Right.
and kind of perfect it the best we can. Then, once we understand exactly what we have here and how we want to move forward, expand the program. I think expanding even into the elementary schools. Now, I have to say, with the addition of the 2 SROs in the middle schools, they are going to, on a part-time basis, visit
The schools, right?
all the elementary schools. So the elementary schools are getting some degree of SRO exposure. More so in the campus security aspect, because there's not a lot of time for the officers to spend it in each of the 10 elementary schools that we have. There's not enough time to form those relationships. But to be there, make ourselves known, our presence known, have a high visibility as much as we can in the elementary schools is going to somewhat give some security to the schools that need it. But to provide an SRO at some level to an elementary school on a permanent basis, I think would be very effective, especially if you're going to, if your goal is to have exposure to the kids with SROs all the way throughout. So that's just a part of the school environment.
Right.
We don't want any kid's first exposure or interaction with police officers to be negative. We want to get out there and have positive contact, make positive relationships with all student population, so that by the time they do get to the junior high school, they know what to expect. That's my SRO. It's my new SRO.
Right.
I know I can go to this officer, this detective for anything, and going in right off the bat, especially in the school environment it's only a 3-year school. They want to feel comfortable right away and maximize that exposure, maximize the benefits of the SRO. So my vision would be to have campus security and the holistic SRO program involved in every school. Of course, I understand that that's going to take some effort, but that would be my ultimate vision.
I know when I grew up in Parsippany, of course, that was in the 70s. I remember police officers. If we played baseball, they would stop by, say hello,
Yep.
and that's what I want our police force to do. Even if you're driving and you see a game going on, I want you to get out of your vehicle, go, "Hey, I'm patrolman, whatever, detective, sergeant, whatever you are." Introduce yourself to the residents of Parsippany, and watch the game for a while.
Yep.
It's important, and I think you're getting the kids right from when they're they get into the middle school, and they're going to depend on you a lot as well. And I'm glad if they select whoever they selected, I have trust and faith in those individuals. So you're going to be the backbone in the middle schools for those kids, and they're going to look up to you, and that's important because I had we all have role models, and when you never know when a young lady might want to say I want to be like a Will, I want to be a police officer one day. So same with you, detective. And believe me, you guys, thank you for what you do in the schools and for the township of Parsippany-Troy Hills. I love this town, and I want to share my thoughts with a lot of individuals. But that being said, I can't do it without you guys. So I know you're new to it, Wilda, but I'm sure the next time I interview you, you're going to be really rattling on.
She was sitting here next time.
Yeah, exactly.
Right here.
Hey, listen, no. And, Detective Lanahan, parents, kids all talk very highly of you, so.
Oh, thank you.
And I think that's, but you also, see, what a lot of residents don't not understand, don't know, is that you participate in their activities as well. You'll go watch them play their games, and so, and that's why it's important. You see, it's not like, to me, it's not like, oh, it's just a police officer. No, it's not just a police officer. It's somebody that's going to be there for you.
They're
when
part-
you fall,
they're part
pick
of
you
the
up
school
when
community.
you fall, so
Yeah.
that's,
To that, I'd just like to mention that recently both the schools, the High and the Hills, had their project graduation, and the SRO'S were present all night through the
that's
whole.
great.
And they were there. They participated. And that's being part of the school community, which ultimately is part of the community, at large. So, like I said, so far so good. It's really working out well, and we're all very excited.
Oh, I expected it to work out well, to be honest with you, because, we have, I might be biased, but we have the best police department in Morris County, so,
I think we agree.
in
Yeah,
the
we'll
state.
agree.
How
Yeah,
does that
we'll
sound?
agree with you.
So, we do, and you know what, that being said, that when you have that type of community outreach to its residents, to its children, that says a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we have the ability to do it, but of course, I'm glad we had a Board of Education, all 9 members that felt the same way. 'Cause,
Absolutely.
And really, in the end of it, it comes down to the superintendent, and it was shaky until the new superintendent came on.
Yes.
And once the new superintendent came back, Dr. Seitz was,
He's been great so far.
he's been real great. I was just like, you don't want to know what some of those meetings were like. But, so was anything else you'd like to add before we close the show out?
We're again very excited. Thank you so much for having us on your program today. We really were very excited when you invited us to come on. So
That's
we're
one more
looking forward to
question I
it.
do have to ask you, because we are looking for a counselor.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Well, I'm sorry. So beyond the SRO program,
Yeah.
this also brought some other positives to the police department and the community. It allowed us now to get the youth services section of the investigative division back up and running, which has suffered for years. So now we have a YSS again, and along with the YSS, youth services section of the investigative division, we've always had a youth services counselor, which is very beneficial to the Detective Bureau, the youth services section, and the schools, because they work cooperatively between the criminal justice system, the police department, and the educational system, and they help at-risk youth. They go back and forth and set up programs for these children and try to get them back on the straight and narrow. So without that, it leaves the responsibility up to the SROs, which is very difficult because they're doing their function in the schools all day. So this will alleviate a lot of that responsibility for them and really be put in the hands of somebody that is more qualified to handle that type of aspect of the job. So yeah, so that's a plus to the whole agreement, and we're very happy to have that. It's really going to make things easier for the SROs.
Which is good. I'm glad we got that in there.
We're very close.
Good.
We're holding interviews next week, so we should have our youth services counselor by August.
That's great. So first, I'd like to, well, not first, to end it, I should say. Thank you for being on the program today. Thank you, Wilda. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you.
And Brian, Lieutenant, Detective, that's better. See, that I got to be professional too. I'm proud of our SRO program, and that's one thing I'll always hold high, that is so important. And I do encourage other school districts, and I do encourage other counties to do the same, and I'm sure other counties might be doing it, but it's just the best for our children. So once again, thank you for tuning in to Pride in Parsippany. Until next time, God bless you all.